the end of the day, leaders are solution generators. We solve problems creatively. So sometimes that's not always a straight path to hit the goal. But again, keep showing up, keep on, with your vision. Again, I think it's wonderful that you're thinking that far ahead. A lot of people your age don't even know what they want to do with themselves, let alone looking to get a summer internship. They want to spend their summer not in school and just, relaxing. Hello and welcome to this exciting episode of The Diligent Leader. I'm your co-host, Holly Basta, and we've got a very exciting episode coming up for you today with some interesting conversation. And here to tell you all about it is my co-host, Alex.
Hi, everybody. Alex Fakeri from The Diligent Leader. I'm particularly excited about today's episode because when you think about leadership, right, the diligent leader, everybody wonders, where does leadership come from? Is it something we evolve into? Are we born with it? But I don't know about you, Holly, but to me, I think great leaders have the elements, they have the ingredients, right, of a good recipe. Some of them, the recipe falls right in line. Some of them, we have to learn how to figure it out, right? And what that, as a good chef learns at practice, they become great leaders with the right elements.
Trial and error.
Yeah.
You have to learn from, mistakes or miscalculations, as I like to call them.
No, I think they're just course corrections. But you know what? I get excited because I always think about leadership. It's not somebody who's been doing it for 20 years, right? I think it could be somebody who's doing it for 10 years, 1 year, or a couple months, but I think leadership comes in all shapes and sizes, all ages and all backgrounds. And that's why I'm really excited to introduce something we haven't done before. We've gone to where leadership starts to begin and form, and that's in our early years. So I'm very excited to introduce somebody who's special to me, Jessalyn Tavenner. Come on in.
Welcome to The Diligent Leader.
Happy to be here.
Yeah, well, thanks so much for joining us. So let's let a little bit of a secret out. How do we know each other, Jessalyn?
You're my wonderful Uncle Al.
Thanks, Skippy. You see that? Well, thank you very much for joining us. And just because there's it's not nepotism going on. Honestly, I'm really excited, Holly. I don't know if you realize who you're sitting across here, but Jessalyn is a student over at Gunston School. Over now, what side of what town is it again? Over the bridge?
Centerville on the Eastern Shore.
Centerville on the Eastern Shore. That's right. Now, are you from there?
So I was originally from the Western Shore, but I moved over there when I was like 5. So grew up around there.
All right,
see how she called us the Western Shore.
Yeah. It's like I feel the hate already.
I'm a little biased, yeah.
No, it's great. But so tell us a little bit. Tell the world a little bit about you, right?
Well, I'm the oldest of 6. So I have 5 younger siblings at home, ranging from 13 to 5. So it's a little difficult sometimes, but I love them.
So you were volunteered into leadership.
Yes.
Right, very early on, right?
Definitely, yes.
That's awesome. And so what grade are you in right now?
I'm a freshman.
You're a freshman.
Yes.
Okay. And so right now, the reason, let's talk about why you're here, right? Because I was talking about leadership. I was not only just particularly proud of you and your accomplishments, but I think you really have done a lot, kind of early in your early career. So why don't you tell us a little bit about what you're involved in? What are your activities? And tell us about your leadership role.
Yeah, so at school, I'm in 2 clubs right now. I'm in the mock trial club, which I really enjoy because I'm like going down the path towards law, which I love. I think it's fun. We go to competitions, lots of public speaking, which I enjoy. And then I'm in another club called the Give Club. So it's definitely a lot of speaking, fundraising, and those sorts. And I also play school volleyball, and I play club volleyball outside of school. So
okay,
wow, you do a lot.
Yeah. And what is your role with the different volleyball clubs that you're in? Volleyball club and then the team.
So for school volleyball, I was voted by my teammates as team captain, which was very scary, especially being a freshman and being the newer one on the team. But they were all very supportive, and I loved it. And yeah, it was awesome.
That's great. Now, how long have you been in that role?
So the season ended, I believe, in November, but so I was also at my other school, my middle school, I was the team captain there for a little while. But yeah, so for the whole season, I kind of helped with leading practices, warm-ups, and fun fact about volleyball, there's a literal coin flip to decide who gets to serve. So I was also in charge of doing that.
Oh, really? So. Okay, great. So literally, you know, very early on, you've already started being a leader from middle school into high school, and you know, how does that settle with you? I mean, do you find it a natural fit? Do you find it something that you have to work at? You know, what's it like in your world right now?
In some sense, especially being the oldest child, I feel like I've kind of been volunteered into that role in some sort, like you said, but same reason with a D1 athlete. Sure, they're naturally good at it, but you don't just wake up and go in the Olympics. You don't wake up and go pro. You still have to work at it, so it's something you still have to be consistent with and work on, even if you're quote-unquote born with it. So.
Right. Well, no, and that kind of goes back to the whole recipe thing, right, Holly? Yeah.
It takes time. It takes evolution. Again, it's learning through doing, learning lots of lessons through all different kind of activities. And it seems like you're involved in so many different activities. How do you stay motivated to do all of these things?
A lot of it is help from my friends and my family, and just overall being involved with them instead of just checking the box. And when I'm in the clubs, being proactive in them and participating. And I personally find it more enjoyable, especially with classes, if I'm being active in them and participating. I find it more fun and more engaging, and it also helps work out better in my schedule, because if I know what's going on, I'm able to better plan for it. So
good. Now, have there been, you know, in this time that you've been, you know, a leader and you're kind of getting this experience, who do you look to? Who's been a good leader to you that you say, you know, oh, I'm inspired by them, or there's something kind of, you know, motivated you to want to do better or keep doing what you're doing?
So there's two people. One of them is a 10th grader at my school. Her name is Marley Farmer. She's on my mock trial team.
Okay.
I really look up to her and admire her. She is also the 10th grade class president, which I am the 9th grade class president, so I looked up to her when I was running. So I really do admire her, and she was a prosecution lawyer in mock trial, and she was always able to stay so calm and collected during cases, which, even though they aren't real, they do get very heated and such, but I really do admire how she goes about those. And another person I look up to, Miss Christine, who was, so for my victim impact statement I made in court back from my car accident, she was the lead prosecutor that was on that case, and she really did inspire me, and she was speaking with me, and she told me that I did a lot, I did well communicating how I felt, and I really look up to her and what she does, and it's a hard job, so I do really admire her for that.
Yeah. That's fantastic. That's fantastic. So, you know, with that, you know, you had a lot of leadership roles. So you've been president, right? You team captain a couple times. You got all these things going on. All of the roles that you've had, I'm kind of curious, which one has been the most important to you developing as a leader? Like, which challenges you the most?
I would say being school team captain was very challenging at the time, especially since I had gone from having a really hard time playing from my car accident, and then working through that all summer, and then I got on the team, to pushing through, since again there's like 13 girls on a team, so we got to all make sure that we're working together and coordinating. And it also helped me mentally, just having to persevere through tough games, and also being the one to encourage others to lift others up. So that was very difficult.
So, yeah, I mean, when you've had some times that were more difficult, or you were struggling through a challenge, who do you go to for advice and for help?
Honestly, I look to a lot of different people. I look to my friends, especially people in my volleyball clubs. They're very, very helpful. So talking to people that understand the sport. My mom, she's just with...
She's okay.
She's fine. Alex, you're going to get in trouble.
But for friend troubles, volleyball troubles, she's always been there to talk about the game, and she's always been wanting to understand, which I do really appreciate her for that. So that's awesome.
Good. That's good. You know, I don't know about what. It sounds like you definitely faced some struggles. You know, you've had personal setbacks, and you're overcoming them, and you're also, you know, developing yourself personally in school. I can tell you as a leader, I just want to kind of encourage you that, leadership doesn't necessarily come, as I kind of mentioned earlier at the beginning of the show, it doesn't always come natural for everybody. But I think the one thing is you got to look at it and say, what's that next thing that I can do? I think most people get excited about what they do when they're challenged. They get the problem solved, and they get to experiment a little bit. And and you're never going to get it right 100% of the times. I've messed up so many times it's not even funny. But I think what my business partner has always said, and I agree with them, it's, fail fast. Failure's inevitable, and you should embrace it. Change is inevitable, but fail fast, right? Get up, get right back to it again. Not because as they say, what do they say? Pick yourself up by the bootstraps kind of thing. I mean, yeah, that's true, but really it's just about, if you fail, just get up and keep going. But I think that process, that's what makes you a leader. That gives you the skills and insights to kind of do it, to kind of go through it. And so I said all that to go to the point is, have you found yourself failing fast? Or how when you've fallen down, what are you doing to get yourself back up? Is it just talking to your friends, or is there something else you do for yourself?
Also, the frustration from failing has also really helped me to move forward.
Okay.
I fail a lot. I really, really do.
Good.
And in the volleyball world, in school, in every aspect of my life, I do fail. And every single failure I have had, I have worked on it. So first year, back in 7th grade, I didn't make the volleyball team. And instead of going home and crying, I was upset. But then I went back outside and I started playing. Good. And they reached out and they'd said that I could come back and try out again. And I did. And I fell in love with the sport. And time goes on, and I made the team again, and I got a head injury, so that set me back a bit, but I kept working, and over the summer, and then back for the school season, I had made the volleyball team at Gunston, and I was very happy about that. I had made the JV team, which I was originally upset that I hadn't made the varsity team because my friend was on the varsity team, and we were really close in the volleyball world, but I was able to work on that and ended up becoming team captain for JV. Okay. So I feel like after every setback, it's like 1 step backwards, 3 steps forward. Yeah. So for every failure, there's something good to compensate with it.
I think that's important.
Yeah, and I feel like you sort of just laid out the recipe, too, for what makes a great leader. You keep showing up no matter what.
You're diligent.
Keep showing it up. You stay diligent.
Diligent.
Yeah. Okay. But even when times get hard, you keep showing up. Even when there's setbacks, keep showing up. Even if you get a no, keep showing up. If there's something you need to learn more, work on your game, your technique, keep showing up, keep practicing. You'll get there, which you did.
So, and that kind of leads me to a question for you. So for myself, I have various things that I do in my professional career every day. But I find, and I don't know about you, Holly, but having a vision, right? Where do I want to go? Like, what does it potentially look like? I might not have it down to the nitty gritty detail, but at least I have kind of a vision. Maybe people do vision boards if it's whatever works for you. But when you think about the different roles you've had, right? You've been president, captain. What's your next vision? Like, what you mentioned law. Like, is it to go to a particular law school? Is it to do a certain type of practice? Like, what is your next leadership? What does your next vision look like for you?
Yeah. So I originally, ever since middle school, early on, I wanted to be a lawyer, but since that prosecution case where I gave my victim impact statement and Christine had made the comment about how I did so well conveying myself, I've really felt more pulled to do public advocacy for law.
Oh, okay.
So I still love the law and government, and I find a lot of interest in that, but I see myself going down the path of definitely somewhere in the law, whether it's being a prosecutor or whether it's just making laws, changing them, advocating for people. That was also one of my big things when running for class president was I want to be able to advocate for people who aren't able to do so themselves.
So so if that's your path, what do you think is your next step to get there? Like, have you talked to anybody? Have you decided, I'm going to have to take this class, I'm going to have to watch this video? Like, what in your mind is your your next steps to go in that? Have you identified that yet?
Yeah, so one of the things is I spoke with Miss Christine, and she said that over the summer I can do an internship with the state's attorney's office. So
Very
just
good.
seeing how things work around
Okay.
there, which I thought was very cool. So that's one of the smaller steps. There's also lots of summer programs that I can do.
Okay.
And next year taking AP government classes and such. So those are some small steps. Nothing too big yet, not trying to look too far, but definitely just keeping my options open for the far future and making smaller steps for now.
I think that's a big step, doing an internship when you're still in high school. That's a pretty big step. Don't sell yourself short there.
No. But honestly, that's what you've said and what you're kind of sharing. Those are, to Holly's point, those are big steps, And I think what's important, and the reason I was excited to have you on here, is because there are people who've been, whether they're a brand new leader, they're just starting their own business, or they've been doing it forever, or they're part of leadership of a bigger organization or company. Doesn't matter where they're at, but I think it's healthy to hear you having some of the same challenges we have. Because Holly and I we have challenges we run into, right? As leaders in various organizations, we're like, okay, well, how are we going to get around this? And it's kind of refreshing to hear, all right, yeah, I remember that. And yeah, that was yesterday. It wasn't 20 years ago. It's like, I still have some of those same issues that pop up, Leadership's an ongoing thing. So it's great to hear that, what you're going through, and how you're looking at life. Because I think any leader that you're out there and you're listening, no matter which camera you're on, I think at the end of the day, it's, you have to remember why you got into this and what motivates you, and, have a vision. So.
Yeah, definitely.
Yeah, and at the end of the day, leaders are solution generators. We solve problems creatively. So sometimes that's not always a straight path to hit the goal.
Yeah.
But again, keep showing up. Keep on, with your vision. Again, I think it's wonderful that you're thinking that far ahead.
Yeah.
A lot of people your age don't even know what they want to do with themselves, let
very
alone looking to get a summer internship. They want to spend their summer not in school and just, relaxing. And I don't blame them. But you seem to have a clear path and a strategy, which is one of the points that I think Alex was sort of alluding to, is this a strategic rise and a development, if you will, in those leadership roles. And every experience that you have, from volleyball to the student government to working, potentially as an intern with the state's attorney's office, you're going to gain valuable insight from each one of those experiences that you'll then be able to apply later on in life.
Definitely.
So what do you think is going to be an obstacle? So when you look at something, let's just focus on the internship, right? Let's say that's the next achievable small step, as you call it. What do you think, what blockers do you have? What things do you think you need to do to prepare for that? Like, what's the plan for Jessalyn to say, I'm going to get to there, here's my next step to get there? Like, what does it look like for you?
Yeah, so since it's in the summertime and we're nearing the end of school, so just staying focused on school for now. And like for mock trial, that the competition season just ended. So looking back at my notes, during the season, I was very focused in on it, and making sure in the summertime I have time for work and also for the internship. So making sure I have fair enough time for each of them. So definitely planning out for it and being willing to make some sacrifices for that.
Well, okay, so you just dropped a little Easter egg nobody even knew about. So you talk about staying focused and being willing to do what it takes. You're also working. So you're working, you're doing schoolwork, you've taken various leadership roles, and then you're looking at an internship. So what you're saying is this doesn't come easy, but you're doing what it takes.
Yes, so definitely just being able to make time for everything, but I also don't want to sell myself short on anything, and I don't want to do like a half job on anything. I want to make sure I'm giving my full. So giving myself time for things and having the brain power to be able to do so. So
I think that's great. You have to time management your schedule, and you have to prioritize tasks. And so I think that is you're very forward thinking for your age. And I think that's great because, again, it's a strategic move and it's time management, which I think is an essential skill that every leader of any sort needs to have. And you also need to know when to say, hey, I don't have the bandwidth for that. I can't take that on, or it's too much. I have to focus on this. So that's so mature. Your whole outlook is so mature.
I appreciate that.
No, I was laughing because time management is one of my...
Not one of your strengths.
I need help.
I'm laughing at you too.
People have to help me with that.
Hey, and you know what? I'm all for being honest because as leaders, sometimes we have to pass the plate over to someone because we just simply can't do anymore, and we have to know when to do that sometimes.
And I think that's even something for you're going to have to keep an eye out for yourself, because if you keep saying yes to things, right, once you start to evaluate the priority of these things. But I definitely, that's one skill I've learned is how to, and I should say I learned like I've got it down pat. One thing I continually work on and I always try to take advantage of is the people around me, right? I don't find a bunch of people that are equal or less. I find people who are equal or better. Right, because I know that there's skill sets I don't have, and recognizing your limitations it's a healthy exercise, right? You just know, like I know I'm great at coming up with something, starting it, getting it moving, and handing it off to somebody. But if you want me to be the one to manage it on a daily basis, I'm going to break down. That's the limit myself. I've learned that limit about myself, so I think that's important for So, so I have a question. I think it was great what Holly said about your age, right? So let's face it, adults, we suck sometimes, right? You have a young lady like yourself, and we might start to innocently patronize you, or not give you full credit for what you're capable of, right? And it's not necessarily intentional. Yeah. But what is it? Have you found yourself in a situation where somebody necessarily think less of you? I don't mean it like that. Yeah. But somebody who just didn't realize Jessalyn's full potential, and how have you dealt with that?
So it has especially been hard finding work. Being so young, just a year after I'm legally allowed to work. So finding jobs, it's like I totally understand. There's people out there that just want the money, but I'm genuinely, it's odd at my age, like wanting to go work at an ice cream shop. Yeah. Wanting to work just because I really want to get out there. And it seems silly as in such a small job as scooping ice cream or making coffees, but definitely with work, that has been hard. And that's been one of the big things,
Have you come up with any particular strategies to get your voice heard?
So when going into job interviews, I do have a very small resume that I've made myself, but I go in there and I don't necessarily have my expectations low, but because I do hold myself to a very high standard, but I don't go in there not expecting anything, but I also go in there with like almost the mindset that you've got the job. Yeah. So going in there with a good mindset, that is definitely a big thing, is almost fake it till you make it, but you're not necessarily faking it.
Yeah. No,
I don't know if that makes sense.
No, it makes perfect sense.
You're just exhibiting confidence. In yourself, which is fabulous.
Yeah. So, as we talk about, we talked a little bit about law, and we talked a little bit about, where your internship potentially, right? But, you said you're in your freshman year over at Gunston, right? So what does your first year of college look like? So 5 years from now, right? What are you hoping? I mean, is it true? Like, I know you said in the legal profession potentially, but do you see yourself going to school locally? Do you see yourself being a leader in other programs? Like, have you thought about that? 5 years is a long time away, but I'm kind of curious where your thoughts are.
I want to be somewhere, definitely on the East Coast, because I like it over here. So somewhere semi-close. So I've been looking
at home, but
not so far away.
I want to visit. Now, I got to watch over my shoulder. But no. But something where it allows you. What I'm hearing you say: spread your wings a little bit, explore a little bit of the world, but not be so distant. Right. Yeah. There's no need for any of that.
Yeah.
You got to see Uncle Al anyway. Yeah. But no. So So go ahead, continue. So a little bit out of the, maybe in the DC area, we'll call it, right?
Yeah.
Okay. So
Somewhere on the East Coast, or even in Florida, North Carolina, South Carolina, because I also want to go somewhere where I can enjoy myself. So in Maryland, where the weather is pretty 4 seasons all year round.
Yeah.
So I don't know, somewhere where where there's definitely, even in Maryland, there's so much, like, even Queen Anne County where I live. So like the cases, even my own from the car accident that I had, that was pretty incredible watching Miss Christine handle that. So I don't know necessarily where, but somewhere close to home.
Okay. All right. Now, a lot of leaders who watch our show, all the subscribers, maybe even people from Gunston, some of your classmates are watching this. I'm kind of, I always like to hear what people's quotes are, and like just kind of set the mood. Like I have a quote I've kind of latched onto, and I go through them every once in a while. But my current one that I'm on, which has motivated me, is what you don't change, you're making a choice for. So when you don't change something, you're making a choice. And so if I'm, whatever that is in my life, so I'm living by that right now. Right? So if I'm picking up the phone I'm not supposed to, then I've made a choice to make a bad decision, whatever that may be. So I'm kind of curious from your side, what is maybe a quote or something that inspires you or you live by?
A quote that I really like is by Malala Yousafzai, who is she's an advocate for education in other countries where education is not provided for women, which I've really appreciated her from such a young age. And it is, I speak up not to shout, but to be heard for those who can't speak up for themselves. So that is something I definitely strongly abide by and go with. So even through life, again, like I said, public advocacy, and that's just a big thing for me. So I do love that quote.
I got a little bit of a chill right there.
We keep getting chills in these interviews. We're hitting it.
That's great. Now, that's awesome. That's awesome. Well, I just want to say, on behalf of the Diligent Leader Show and all of our subscribers, thank you very much for joining us today. It's great to see you thriving as a leader and growing, and very proud of you. You're doing great work. And it's reassuring to know we're gonna have somebody competent and driven and excited, not just there, right?
Yeah.
You're gonna have somebody who's really out there, hopefully covering us from a legal perspective. Holly's always saying
I'm always
thing.
getting us in trouble. Always just in trouble.
Yeah.
But I think too, on our show, we're normally talking to people, who were closer to our age, and we always ask them as an overview to tell us about their story and some of their background and stuff. But with you, it's different because we're getting from the jump point. We're getting to see where you got your start instead of going backwards. We're leaping forward and looking forward. And where's, she going to be a Jessalyn in 5 years? We'll have to do a follow-up.
Yeah, there you go.
Definitely.
See where they are
Hope
now.
you come back.
But thank you for coming in and talking with us. And I guess I just wanted to reiterate that I'm just so impressed with your maturity and the way you speak, and you seem to think through sort of what you're saying as you're answering, and so I think the thought process that's gone into some of your responses, and also the thought process that's gone into your journey into becoming a leader is very interesting, and it's a different perspective for us to explore.
Absolutely.
So I'm grateful to be able to talk to different voices and different people, because as Alex noted, leaders come in all shapes and sizes, ages, etc. So people can still be leaders even at a very young age.
Diligent leaders at that.
I really appreciate that.
Absolutely. Well, listen, we just want to thank everybody for watching today, and we hope you've enjoyed getting to meet Jessalyn and seeing the next generation come up behind us and hopefully guide us through great years to come. And if you want to, please like, subscribe, watch, leave a comment. If you want to learn more, we'll definitely be looking for comments, and Holly and I, or even Kaylee, will get back to you. But I'm Alex Fakeri, signing off for The Diligent Leader.
And I'm Holly Basta. Don't forget, we've got our show on plenty of channels for you to check out, whether you want to listen to it on Spotify or you want to watch it on YouTube
or Apple
LinkedIn,
iTunes.
Apple iTunes. We've got plenty of ways for you to watch our show and listen to the content. Don't forget to share, as Alex said. Thank you, everybody, for joining us for this episode.
Go Gunston.